everyone. This is Bindu Bhatia, the founder of New Core Talent, and today I am so proud and feeling awesome to bring in one of our very, very distinguished, esteemed guests, Mr. B.T. Venkatesh. Now, anything I say about him is less. He has 30 years plus experience as a lawyer, as an activist, and he has so many stories to tell that it's just amazing. So sir, I'm very happy today, very, very proud that we were able to bring you on this ground. And this is a month which is very significant for a topic today that we are going to cover. It's our honor to have you here, a person who has spent so many years in enabling women, enabling the LGBT community. And I think the more I hear him in his platforms, in his channels, I feel the passion that he has for this area. And today we are very, very honored to have you, sir, to share your knowledge, share something that the women today can hear and really feel that yes, there is a big support system all for them. The idea for today's session, where the topic is domestic violence, is to provide that support, provide that knowledge to all the women out there who are silently taking it on. So with that note, I'm also going to now invite Padmini, who is part of New Core Talent Academy, and she will be hosting the session after this. And Padmini, over to you.
So thanks a lot, Bindu, and I totally agree with whatever you have introduced, because all that I have read and heard about VT sir from you and even on social media, it's actually just short of any words that we would want to express. So to begin with, my first question to you, VT sir, would be that this cause, this initiative with this vision that you have started, Reach Lawyers, what was the thought behind it?
One of the major challenges that we face is that women don't get quality advice. In fact, good number of situations we come across women sharing with us, so why did not you take any action about your condition when you are suffering such amount of domestic violence? They said there were no one who were willing to listen to me. I said, you had family? They said that the family said that somehow compromise. It happens every time, every place. So everyone advised me to continue to be in an abusive relationship rather than taking any action. This we have seen in such a number of cases. Women have been in abusive relationship for decades. In fact, one of my client was a 76-year-old woman. She had suffered domestic violence for 58 years, most abusive relationship. So that really shocked me that though we have been providing support, we believe that there was a need that we need to change the whole purpose, the method and approach towards it. Rather than telling them that we'll support your litigation, we felt that there was a need that we should talk to them, try to understand their situation, try to understand their skills, and what can make them to be on their own. Be confident, be strong. I'm very proud to share that in the last 2.5 decades, almost all the women who had come to Reach Lawyer, my office, to us, the kind of litigation support they sought, we have been able to provide them space. We have heard them out. We have counseled them out. We have taken help of so many wonderful counselors. And we have given them such options, choices. And most of them are entrepreneurs. most of them are now wonderful professionals. Amazing. In fact, when I see that if a woman gets a fistful of confidence, that if you're able to instill in her, I think she can see a change which is unimaginable. One of my classic cases was said to be a dumb girl who could not complete her graduation, a daughter of a banker. And she was married. So it was the most traumatic relationship. It was the kind of abuse that she had suffered. She had lost orientation. And that girl who had failed her BA is now the senior general manager of human resources in a big software company. She trains, she travels across the globe in a multinational company. It's a joy. The girl who was known not to even use a bicycle, now she travels in a chauffeur-driven car, jet setting to places. She teaches in Hong Kong, she teaches in Sydney. I see that change. It's one example. I can just keep on talking about the number of examples we have.
That is, one thing that I really admired in you. I've known you for approximately 5 years now, and we also happened to meet for a case around child abuse. And that is my memory when you not only were so passionate about case, because a lot of other lawyers had almost given up because there were too many big fishes involved, but you were the one who just took it up. You were the one who not only helped the parents, but you went beyond the lawyer duties, as you say. It was not a lawyer relationship that I witnessed. It was more of a counselor. It was more of a coach. It was more of support that we experienced and the parents experienced. And that brings me to this question, sir. When you started as a lawyer, right, there were two paths. Of course, you just run the case the way you are. I mean, I know your record is amazing, and you earn a lot of money. Now, I see you in one path which is more of an enabler. You have been an activist. You have taken up so many voluntary cases. Now, this SOS is the new initiative that you have started. You're running this NGO. Reach Lawyer is your baby. You have started it. Reach Lawyer, the name itself is so welcoming. And so tell us more about SOS, sir.
SOS, Reach Lawyer, which is a program of the Reach Lawyer. Reach Lawyer, which we started as a community of lawyers, a collective of lawyers. We found that people find it so difficult to find lawyers on issues, challenges. We have an environmental issue. We are facing a civil liberty issue, a woman facing a challenge, a transgender facing a challenge, so a child facing a challenge. Every time this searching and hunting for lawyers becomes such a pain for people, they keep calling us, sir, I don't have a lawyer. I don't have a lawyer. There are times in the last 3 decades of my work, I could not find a lawyer. I had to travel all the way from Bangalore to Ernakulam, so Bangalore to Thiruvananthapuram, Bangalore to Chennai, Bangalore to Erode, Bangalore to Bombay, Bangalore to Goa, Bangalore to Kolkata. You can't imagine the kind of traveling that I had to do. I said that this should not be the case. This should not be the case because we need to have a team of lawyers. So we started working on that sometime. Today we have some 250 plus lawyers across India. Lawyers who have minimum of 15 to 20 years of experience. An amazing number of lawyers, excellent lawyers, experts in their field. So we have such team of lawyers. We have large number of, we have made it very open for each lawyer. Each lawyer is a collective of lawyers, young and senior, a collective of students, academics, senior journalists. We have from absurd one bright young journalist or a student of mass media to right to one of the senior most journalists well known in India. So all of them are part of the network that we have. We have many concerned citizens like you, all of them are there here, who are willing to put their voice.
Sir, we are very proud to be part of your community. Very proud and very...
SOAS is a program which we started essentially to address the issues regarding rights of women. SOAS means passion. SOAS means passion. The purpose of SOAS was that in all these years of work that we have done at Each Lawyer, as an individual, as practitioner, we found that there is a need for a space, a place, a platform for discussion, a platform for presenting someone's concerns, a platform where people can find someone to listen to, a platform where people can find some counselor, a platform where they can find a support. And this is something which always was in my heart. I said, whenever I did cases, I said, there are so many more in this country, so many more in this world. In fact, for me, it came as a shocker. A year ago, before we started this seriously on the SOAS, we put out a poster on the LinkedIn for the SOAS initiative. I thought that there will be some calls from parts of India. I was shocked. I received calls from Argentina. I received calls from California or Nevada or Montreal, all the way to Oslo, to New Zealand, to Australia. I was shocked with the calls. Then I spoke to one of the LinkedIn friends. She is a professor in US. She said, Mr. Venkatesh, globally, a third of women face domestic violence in one form or the other. You can't imagine the numbers.
You're saying 1 in 3 women
face
across the world face domestic violence.
I said this is exaggerated statement to the professor. She said, no, it's not exaggerated. It may be little less when it compared to in the developed economies, but it's prevalent to much higher degrees in many parts of the world. She said, in fact, US has much more than many developing world. When it comes down to the domestic violence is concerned, intimate partner violence is concerned, and it's a serious challenge. So there is so much to be done. I thought that let's make one effort from our end too. So SOAS is an initiative where we are creating listeners, where we are enrolling counselors, where we are enrolling lawyers, concerned journalists who tell the story, which need to be, some of the stories need to be told. So all that, everyone, and there are large number of students who are working with us, who are doing amazing research. In fact, it's such a joy to share that at any point of time we have some 20 to 30 young lawyers and students who are working with us. It takes a pleasure to share. I can't take name, and everyone has to be.
And they're doing a wonderful job. I see your posts on LinkedIn.
It's a lovely family now. Yeah.
Your clubhouse meetings. These are all, they're doing a wonderful job, and hats off to you. My perception about lawyers was not as good before meeting you, but after meeting you, kind of have a much, much more respect for the profession. So now let's come back to this whole topic of domestic violence. To say that there are 1 in every three women in the world face domestic violence. Now, when we talk about specifically in India, what are the rights of a woman when it comes to domestic violence? How do we define it? One. Second, what would you want to make women aware of when it comes to domestic violence? Maybe there are some women who are watching this show, they're going through it. So, it'll be very helpful to know what is domestic violence and what are the women's rights pertaining to that.
See, domestic violence, many of us, the very notion of domestic violence is we look at a woman battered, the images. The moment we talk in terms of domestic violence, the only thing which comes to our mind is the face of a battered woman. Is it why it is so? I see that in last decades of my experience, I have found that the domestic violence is the kind of variety, the kind of nuanced structures, the way people use violence in so many forms as against women is a shocker. There may not be any bruises, visible bruises. There's a wonderful book, No Visible Bruises, by Schneider. It's a book to read for anyone. No visible bruises, but the amount of violence is unimaginable. The verbal violence, the non-verbal violence, the emotional violence, the financial violence. Physical violence is a very, very small fraction of the whole structure of the domestic violence.
Is this all recognized in the law of India? I mean,
the construct is we had, in fact, one of my first cases almost 3 decades ago in Bangalore, one of the first cases when I moved to Bangalore, was that of a non-verbal domestic violence. Virtually, the person, she came to me and she said, I am married for almost 10 years. She said, am I married? So I said that, what exactly? She was quite literate and articulate. I said, what do you mean? She said, I am married. And said, am I married? You're asking me a question at the same time. I said, that's the question which I keep asking myself. Because I'm totally neglected. That I have resources, that I have a family, but I don't have one. It's so difficult for me to present the kind of thing. Here was a marriage where there was no physical violence, where there was no verbal abuse, where there was no kind of financial abuse. She was well placed herself, and resources-wise, not an issue. But what was that? Was that the kind of derision, the kind of communication that used to happen, and the kind of presentation in public. She was 40-year-old. She had already undergone this kind of relationship for more than a decade. And she said, it's so difficult. It's so difficult. Every time I cry, she had gone to depression, she had taken medication, she had attempted suicide several times, she had a child, and she was extremely worried what would happen because the child was not getting the parenting which was needed. It was like the child, she was neglected, so was the child. So it was so difficult for her. And I was a young novice lawyer. It was so difficult for me. Unfortunately, I had a couple of friends in IMHANS. I ran over to them and requested them that what I can do in such case. Because I did not know that I need tools to handle it. Then they told me that you need to first listen to her, engage with her. I found that this kind of violence, it may sound very difficult, so difficult in courts to accept. In fact, even as on this day, the courts find it very difficult to accept domestic violence. So the question is that unless, as I told you, it's considered to be violence in the judicial process, even as on this day, only if there is extreme abuse, verbal abuse, or physical abuse, so financial abuse. So if it is demonstrated, that choking level which is demonstrated, only then the system considers it as violence. That's the tragic part. So therefore, when we wanted to work, we also participated in this process of this law of protection of women from Domestic Violence Act, which we have, one of the finest law that we have. When we're working on that, we said that there is a need that women need to get all these reliefs in one place. Until then, it was such a difficult challenge for women. She had to fight for custody of the child, she had to fight for financial support, she had to fight for the stopping cruelty, she had to fight for the shared residence, she had to fight on all these things. She had to fight in different forums, different courts, paying different fee. It's impossible for a woman to do that who is already in distress. So this law of domestic violence came, which was much needed. Though we were signatory to the global programs, the declaration, Istanbul Declaration. So the construct was necessary that we need to have more support on that. So I think the laws which we have today are some of the laws which are still in the progress and development. Still, there is great amount of want in accepting situations, and there's always in India, in a patriarchal society, women are abusing law. So in that construct, despite all those challenges, but we have some framework as of now. And this kind of variety of this violence which women faces need to be addressed. And first and foremost, they need to express themselves, understand themselves what an abusive relationship is. An abusive relationship is where there is no love. Where I say there is so much of love. Love is not something that I assault my wife and then I say that I love her. It's not that. Love is where there is respect. Love is where there is respect for that individual. Love is where there is kind of support, the kind of understanding, kind of space that needs to be given. It's only then we call it as love. In great number of cases, we come across somehow they have to survive in a marriage. This has become one of the major challenges among us. In fact, especially in countries like India, I survived marriage. Why one survives a marriage? Why one is not in a marriage? So the surviving in a marriage is something which is shocking, and that it demonstrates that the woman is in domestic violence. If one is surviving, it means that she is in domestic violence. She is in an abusive relationship, because there is no surviving a marriage. It is just love. It's only when there is love, there is a relationship. Whenever somebody says that we are surviving a marriage, it means that they are in abusive relationship. If somebody is unable to communicate with fair degree of comfort with the spouse, I think they are certainly in some amount of abusive relationship. It may be pronounced, it may not be pronounced, but it is. It's time that people need to think about that, because we feel that every woman is entitled to a space of her own. We are talking the population, half the population of this world, women are. And according to the statistics of ILO, it's actually more women who work than men. More women spend so much of more hours of work in this world than men. And women are paid extremely small amount for that large body of work that they do. They are caregivers, you name. I think I'll let me stop on that, because I keep talking on this, because the kind of reading, concern, the kind of passion that we have on this issue makes me also extremely verbose. Yes.
We just want to just keep listening to you on this subject, sir, and what you just said, that yes, if I look at it, absolutely, women spend much more time in work. Even if you are working in an organization, you come back and you're expected to work at home too, which is, by the way, unpaid. So yes, I totally agree. I hope times change. Times are changing, but I hope they change faster. Padmini, please go ahead.
Yeah. So I was just listening to whatever you were saying, Viti sir, and it's really appalling. And to be really frank, we all women, and I am in that category. I call myself modern, and I so well informed and well read, and to listen things like this about other women probably are either of my age or even younger to me. And you spoke about different examples where a 76-year-old woman was going through such a long turmoil. So what really what was going on at the back of my mind was that what is it that women can start? How is it that we can tackle this domestic violence scenario? If I am going through this, I know I have started realizing. How do I start? What is it that I can start doing?
See, there are several aspects to it. One, as a society, it's not just the woman. As a society, we need to be very sensitive towards these things. We need to be able to give that kind of space for her to feel confident to communicate. I think that kind of space need to be created. That I feel is an essential thing. Two, the women need to find someone to listen to. This is one of the major challenges that I have found in all these cases of women who come to us who have faced decades of abuse. And a girl who was in domestic violence, extremely abusive relationship. It's graphic violence, and it's not just something, not physical. It was extremely verbal. It was impossible for any soul to even survive such kind of abuse. She survived it for 17 years of marriage. She was financial wreck. She was she was working in a travel firm, financial wreck, and she came to me and she was so scared when she was sitting in front of me. Someone told her that you go to Mr. Venkatesh, you will get support. And she was sitting in front of me, looking over the shoulder all the time. I said, what that you're looking behind? It was 4th floor of a building, my office was. And in this totally air-conditioned atmosphere, and with all the colleagues, staff, and every hour outside there, I said, we are looking over the shoulder. She said that I'm always afraid that maybe my husband is behind me. I've lived to grow with that. And he has scared me so much that he's so powerful and I'm so powerless. And then we communicated to her. I said that we will take action. It was done. We registered a case against her husband, against her in-laws. I was a former state public prosecutor. I do have some police people to talk to me and just said that this is something she's going to face. She need to be supported. And the police registered the complaint and we filed the domestic violence case against the in-laws and the husband. And we made very clear statement to the court that it's difficult. That day we heard her out first. And she kept talking for nearly 2.5 hours, telling me from the day she was 18 years old, how much she was married at 18 and a half, how she has gone through in all these years. She cried and all that. After some 2.5 hours, we just listened to her. She felt so relieved. As said, she became quieter. And then I told her, how do you feel? I said, I feel very happy, sir. I said, why you're happy? You just narrated such a story which is so wild, filled with graphic violence. She said, sir, for the first time, I could open my heart and speak out. Thank you. She said, kuch hoga, nahi hoga. Thank you very much. I found that there are need for people who are empathetic listeners. Half the job is done if she is able to find someone who she can open up and speak up. And that girl who was working in a small-time travel agency, a small pay, today she has her own firm. She employs 6. For pre-pandemic, she was my travel agent too. For all my international travel, she was, and she does, and she has adopted a child now. She's proud, and she said, I'm doing really good, and she really makes a great string from. She's a super entrepreneur now. I'm so happy about her. Once you give that kind of space, it's a change. There is a need which I see in great number of cases. Maybe that most of them may not be that everyone is a great story. But the thing is that if one finds someone to listen to their conditions, find someone that they can empathize with their situation, trying to advise them that what exactly the best possible approach towards the life, I think great amount of work is done. Litigation is but just a small part of it. It's a small part of it. I feel there is that need. The very source purpose is that try to see how we can create that space for them. Let them write. In fact, we make it a point in our process when women come here. If they are articulate, I tell them to write.
Wow.
Go and write a story. I said, send me a mail. Some send me half a page note. And said that you said so much, you have sent me half a page. I said that I will send it again, sir. Make her work again. She sends 5 pages. I said, this is it. Then she says, sir, there is so much I can't write. I said, keep writing. So then she opens up, then she starts remembering things. It may sound difficult that she was remembering something which was bad memory, but she was finding in that process of memory that yes, I am telling to someone who is going to talk to me, who is going to listen to my story. I think that's something which matters most. I think at Reach Lawyer, we have provided that. And every girl who has come to us has been such a success. It feels hard. I think the quantum of success which I've seen in them is so much, it's exponential. That you can't term in terms of numbers, it's just exponential. And they are great, they are strong. Girls are very, very, very strong, I'm sure of that. All that matters is that would give her confidence, that's all.
Wow. And these are such inspirational stories. These are real stories, by the way, all our viewers. These are real stories shared by real people. I mean, someone who has stood by them. What I liked the most about the story was, sir, that it was not litigation, which is going to the courts and doing that process is a very small part of the matter.
Yes. See, most of us, what happens, many who come across, see, the lawyers find it difficult. See, what happens is that because I am trained, because I come from a kind of process wherein that I was a human rights activist and then I became a lawyer, and I had a wonderful mentor who was one like this for decades across South India I had worked. So therefore, when I come from a kind of background I come from, it's different. But many of the lawyers are extremely committed on these issues. But what happens is that amount of time that's required to listen to a person is something many times lawyers find it difficult. There is a very interesting case, that of a actress who came to us, and she was in very abusive relationship. And she came. She's a very confident girl. What you people see, you would see that, oh my God, what a wonderful girl. She's such a strong girl on the screen. She came to me. She said, I have been subjected to domestic violence for the last 9 years. It was a shock for us. And when she told me that the kind of violence that she agreed, it was so difficult for me to accept that the kind of picture you have of her outside and what she was, so difficult. Then I just listened to her. And she was very, 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 with someone said that difficult to live because she was speaking at such pace. It was unimaginable. I had to stop her. That I told her that, look, you are in an office, a lawyer's office, a lawyer who's willing to listen to you. I am not running away from you, right? You have all the time to talk here. First, relax. Just sit back in the chair, take a breath, and happily talk. All those things you want to share, I'm here to listen to you. Not an issue. I'm not going to pass any judgments on you. I'm not judgmental because I listen to, I'm a lawyer, I'm a professional. So she relaxed for a moment and thereafter she narrated me. At the end of the talk, she said that she gave me 10,000 rupees in a thing. I said that I haven't yet told you what my consulting fee is. And she said, sir, that's independent of it. For the first time, I found someone who was willing to listen to me, what I have gone through. I found someone who was not judgmental. So this is something which I feel as a small token of my appreciation for that you have given that space for me to talk to you. That's something which is important.
That's a point well made. I think what I'm taking away from this entire thing, the big headline that I'm taking away is listen, and listen without judgment, listen with empathy. Half of the healing happens there and then. And you being from the profession that you are, you're not only living that profession, but you're living the role of a counselor, you're living the role of a person who would fight for changing the law as well, law itself. I mean, that's what change makers are meant for, and that, hats off to sir for this. I have one last question for you, sir. The question that's coming to my mind, and I being in the capacity of a coach, there are a lot of women I end up talking. These are women who are independent. They're working in large organizations. And, I don't see as a person who is independent myself. I mean, I don't see what is the reason that they're going through what they're going through. But when I ask them, some of them say that, I have a very small child. I don't want to spoil his life or her life. How do I get out? My child doesn't want to leave his dad or her dad. And those are some of the dilemmas that women go through. A lot of that. And plus, the whole faith in the judicial system itself is not as much, right? In the law, that I'll have to fight for so many years. I don't want to, just keep spending money there. It's the short-term pain versus long-term, benefit to get. But then, what would you like to tell these women?
Let me tell you one thing. In my office, we have a very interesting practice. We make it a point that we live in urban spaces. We live in places where people have to travel distances just to meet others. We live in places where people are engaged in professional activity, work related. They have little time to spare. The demands on their work are so high, it's so difficult to spare. Now, in that kind of a construct, many a time we come across the first question which anyone who comes to us and asks is, how many times am I have to be coming to court.
Hmm.
So how many times, how many years this litigation will take on? The kind of things which we come across. We tell them we have challenges. See, the challenges in the systems are such that today in Bangalore, in a city like Bangalore, in the family court, there are a number of 8 to 10 family courts now, the court halls in Bangalore. But each court hall is handling 6,000 cases. It's humanly impossible for a judge to give you a short, quick disposal. Because the moment he takes up your case, next adjournment will be a month thereafter or 2 months thereafter. So this is something which is the case. The second part which we always try to tell the persons is that there is actually no necessity to be attending the court on every date of hearing. No need. Your presence is required at the time of the initial litigation, you file a case, and at the time when you're called for mediation process. There's no mandatory process. And when you're supposed to give evidence. Other than that, couple of times which may be called for these purposes, the client or the person need not come to court. But you see, everyone in the court on every date of hearing. There is no breathing space in the court hall. Why this happens? Because we don't talk to them. We always tell the person who come to us, yeah, your presence may not be regular. There is a couple of interesting, there is a girl from a multinational. She came with her mom and she said that they wanted to take back the brief. I said, why? I said, you're not calling us to attend the court. As the other side advocate is calling my husband to come to court on every date of hearing, you're not asking me to come to court on every date of hearing. I said, I'm angry. I said that I wanted to make your life comfortable in Iraq. Your presence is not required there. I am representing you. If you have confidence in my ability and my office's capability to conduct litigation, that's all matters. You're working in a big company, you are in a very senior position, and therefore you should be concentrating more on your work rather than this. Because the notion of our construct which we have on appearances, sport, litigation, the drama, has made things so difficult. And the way the spouses keep telling them that if you were to go to court, you know I'm going to win. If you were to go to court, you know you are going to face years on and the trouble. If you were to go to court, nobody is going to listen to you. So the kind of language which she keeps hearing all the time, more particularly the women who are in domestic violence, puts them really into such a situation whether to take the thing or not. And as you expressed, there are many people who tell that no litigation, it's going to be difficult. So there is no one out there to tell that, look, law is for you. However the system goes, you need to seek protection under the law. Yeah, there are challenges, but you need to take, you're going through such amount of challenges already, right? The way out is by a litigation. There's some amount of litigation. So therefore, that's needed. First and foremost, therefore, what we believe is that building that confidence. If you build that confidence, if you build that kind of comfort, saying that yes, I can, yes, we can, I think it makes tons of difference in any woman is concerned. So, is effort towards that, to create this body of listeners, create this body of counselors. There are many, in fact, we have people who is a wife of a security guard. And I have also a client who is vice president of a software company. And there is abuse. You must sound that, how can that be? She is vice president of a software company. Yes, I said that she is in an abusive relationship. She comes and tells me that her spouse and the family have swindled her. And they have made good so much out of her. She has been saddled with such amount of loans. It's choking for me, she says. I think there is a need that we need to hear them out. There is a need that we need to build a team of counselors. There is a need that we need to create that space where they can take a call. That's much needed.
I'm so feeling educated right now around all of this. But tell me, my understanding is correct, and then we won't take too much of your time too. So, my understanding is that one, if you're going through any kind of abuse, it could be emotional, financial, physical, different kinds, right? Any kind of emotional abuse, and you want to get out of it, the first thing you need to do is talk about it.
First, talk about it. Most important, unless you explain to someone what exactly you're going through and identify. In fact, there are so many indicators, as I was telling in the beginning, that so many indicators that you're in an abusive relationship. The people keep telling, that look, there is no violence. But when there is no love, when there is no support, when there is no concern, when there is no, the entire relationship is a mechanical relationship.
And respect, as you said.
Little respect for the individual. I think that itself constitutes domestic violence and the intimate partner violence. And it may sound that, many people keep telling me this. Mr. Venkatesh, you take it too much. In fact, every relationship has problems. I said, it's not that people don't quarrel. It's not that they're going to see a man's world, a woman's world are different, and their perspectives are different. There's a gender difference. There's a language difference. The understanding of the perspectives are different. There's bound to be differences. It's not that they're going to be, but whether what more important is, with all these differences, is their respect.
Respect the difference. I wish there were many, many more men like you, sir. So, respect, listen to them, empathize, listen to them without judgment. Second, help them make a decision whether they want to get out. And then, one very important takeaway that I have from you, sir, is that litigation is a very small part of it. Let lawyers handle it. That is not your life after, you're separated or you file a case. Litigation is just a way for you to safeguard yourself and a time for you to build your own life or rebuild your own life again. And I think that's where the things break, because a lot of women that I have seen who are going through this whole period of court and litigation and these dates, and they make that whole case as their life. Once this is solved, I'll think about myself. And I don't think that is either an or. Litigation is one part. You need to start yourself. You need to start rebuilding yourself and start it going.
I would like to add one aspect. Whenever I see these kind of things, the violence that they have undergone is so much. The people around them start talking in language. Teach him a lesson. Teach him a lesson. The process becomes they're so much consumed with that. They don't look at what that she is, what she wants to be. In fact, that's what we believe in each lawyer. In fact, this girl who was supposed to be a damn girl who was there, and now she is a big time general manager HR on a software company. This girl was unwilling to give a divorce. This girl wanted to see that the husband be prosecuted. All that she wanted. I told her, let's look, yes, he has committed that amount of crimes, we will prosecute him. It's not that we are not going to prosecute him. We're going to lodge a complaint against him. He has to go through the thing. We will appoint ourselves as a special prosecutor for that. We will support all that thing. We will do that process. Promise me that you are going to make improvement in your life. Promise me that you are going to complete your graduation. That girl, she said that you prosecute my husband, I do these things. So she made her for parents to support her, understand her. She completed her graduation. Then she had little skills. We made her to join some tally program, skill of a tally program. In fact, she was so difficult. It was, I arranged an employment where her father pays the salary to the employer to pay her salary. So that she feels confident. Small money. It is just 3,000 rupees a month salary, which we did. After 4 months, this girl comes back. You know how confidence builds. 4 months, girl comes back to me. She said, sir, I'm paid very little for the work which I do. Okay, is it so? Yeah, it is. Then why don't you find some better place to work? She ran around and found a job as a front office clerk in a real estate agency office. And then she came back to me and said that I'm getting now 5,000. It's all some 6 months.
Wow.
And then I said, good. Then she came back after another 1 year. Litigation was happening. So in the process, we were prosecuting the husband, his family and all, and in-laws and all, that was happening. And she came back. I said that my company got closed. I said, what are you doing? I'm going to search for an employment now. By the time she was getting more and more confident, she started working in a perfumery.
Beautiful.
As a stock manager. Her paycheck increased from 5,000 to 12,000 rupees. She came and said that, I said that, how long will you work in this paycheck? Your skills are very limited. I said, I'm going to do external MBA. I said, you have to put a good amount of effort in it. Just passing MBA may not be helpful. I'll do good, sir. You will not believe this girl with a child working in a perfumery, secured distinction in MBA.
Oh, wow.
Distance education. And she got a job in a big multinational real estate firm as HR. And then she never looked back. In just 6 months' time, she comes back to me and tells me, she's so happy. I said, what's that? She said, give me a sweet, and told me that I'm first time flying to Hyderabad.
Oh, wow. And this story is so inspirational. I would have gone to one woman, two women to listen to their stories, but here is with so many inspiration stories in one, packed into one.
I carry a bag full of stories.
I know, and that is so amazing. So,
and each one of them, for me, is so successful that for me, they inspire me to do this work more. The very purpose of, if at all I'm doing this source program, which today anyone can just write to us. If you are in thing, askreachlawyer@gmail.com. Just send us a mail. We will respond.
All our listeners, all the viewers, in case any one of you is going through any kind of domestic violence, please feel free. Here is the support. You have heard, sir. You have heard the pure intent. You have heard the power that they carry. Please write to this email address and feel supported. We are all with you. We want our India to be at least free with domestic violence and have a very, very strong support, strong network with people like VT sir. So thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Badmini, would you want to just close? You want to say something, ask something?
Sure. So I think with the way we started this topic on the subject, domestic violence, it sounds very intense and it kind of brings this roadblock in your mind. It gives you this dead end kind of a picture. But then I think after talking to BT sir and the kind of work that he's been doing, his firm is doing, and the stories that he has shared, and especially the success stories, and when he's saying 100%, and I think the stories which he has just quoted, it just reinstates this whole belief that there are many ways of getting out of this. All you have to do is just approach the right person, the right channel, and just believe that it is going to work out. And I think it's really inspirational. I'm getting goosebumps right now, listening to all of this. So all the people, all the ladies who are listening to this, do not close yourself down. Do not find that dead end and give it a closure that this is how it is. There is a life ahead. And I think BT sir has shared all those path changing and all the women and their success stories, and that should motivate you. Come up, come ahead, share whatever you have. BT sir's organization is there. So I wish that every woman who is not talking out there gets a voice, comes up and speaks about it. So thank you so much, sir, for coming in and sharing and actually giving us this path-breaking, ways of how you can deal with it and not to ignore it at all. That's the least that you should be doing. So thank you so much for your time and all your wonderful, inspirational work that you have shared. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.